Hey, if you are watching this, guess what? You made it to day 7. Yes, you made it to day 7, which is the last day of our challenge. I am super excited that you actually hung in there, that I actually hung in there, that we committed to staying with the Life Simple 7 challenge for 7 straight days. I am amazed at all that we have learned, what we already knew but just needed to apply, and how we intend to use this information in the future. So let's do a quick recap. If you've been following on with all the videos, if this is your first video, then you have to go back and watch videos 1 through 6. On the first day, we talked about getting active and some great information about how much activity you actually need in a day's time, a week's time. And you should have, during this challenge, challenged yourself to increase your activity. Did you do that? Did you push yourself to increase your activity this week? Because that is one of the keys. That is one of the simple keys to living a longer life, is to stay active. I was actually talking to someone this week, and she was doing research on how activity, starting at any age, I asked her, because I knew about it in my oldies but goodies or geriatrics, but that actually starts in children as well. The more active they are, the more cognitive abilities they use, and they actually function at higher levels. Go figure. So that's why if you have someone who's older, if you stimulate their brain by doing puzzles, by keeping them busy folding towels or doing things like that, then they are more likely to stay in tune with some of their cognitive awareness, much like a child. If they stay active or if they increase their activity, then they do the same. So that's why at schools, I think it's an hour for elementary school children and below per day of activity, at least 1 hour, because they want to make sure that they increase that cognitive awareness, or they probably want to just make sure they get them super tired so they can rest. Either way. But that's what we talked about on day 1, was actually getting active. Day 2, we talked about food and watching what you eat, how you should start to label and look at your food labels. So that was on day 2. Hopefully you got some good ideas, and you were supposed to download an app. That was in an effort to decrease your weight in number 3. Day number 3, we talked about how to stay within your ideal weight. And so the app is very helpful if you can input your food and your activity. It's golden, because it will tell you how much in a day's time you actually are intaking, how much more you can have, and things of that nature. And so it, most of the time, is the thing you don't really realize until after you've eaten something, and you don't know how much calories something has. My little boy gave me a Starburst yesterday. That thing has 35 calories in one. He gave me 2. Had I eaten 2 of them, I would have gotten 70 calories. I mean, I could eat a granola bar for 100 calories, so why am I going to eat 2 Starbursts? So you use the information to decide or make better decisions on what you're going to eat. Are you going to eat some things just because you want them? Absolutely. You are, but at least you can input those into your app and see how much it costs you for the day, how much you're going to have to make up. That shouldn't be something that you're doing every day. You should try to stick to some basics of what you eat every day. Day number 4 was all about blood pressure, so I challenge you to get your blood pressure checked if you had not had your blood pressure checked within the last, I think I gave you 6 weeks, preferably, or 3 months. So I wanted you to get your blood pressure checked. We had some numbers to show you where you are in the normal, pre-hypertension, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So take a look at that. The downloads are all available as well for this challenge. Again, if you're just tuning in, you have to go back and watch the rest of those videos because they have packed information in them. Day number 5 is about blood sugar. So we talked about blood sugar and diabetes, how you want to make sure your blood sugar stays stable. I asked some of you to get your blood sugar checked. If you know somebody with a meter, or if you've had your blood sugar checked in recent months at a health visit, and that was a perfect opportunity just to get your blood sugar checked. Yesterday was about cholesterol. So good conversation about cholesterol, how we need cholesterol. There is good and bad cholesterol, but cholesterol can have some bad benefits as it relates to your body. So you want to make sure you keep your cholesterol at a normal range so that you can decrease your likelihood for different effects. So this is the last day, and you knew it was coming. Stop smoking. So smoking has been on the decline, I'm thankful to say, because I know at least in the state where I live, you cannot smoke in most public areas. And that includes actually the hospital, restaurants. And so because of that, we've seen a decrease in smoking, but an increase actually in vaping. And so they've had some literature out there. They had opportunity to study it to show some of the risks actually associated with vaping as well. So I encourage people not to switch one habit for another, to actually decrease that altogether. So the first step in smoking is just to educate yourself. So blood pressure does a number of things for your body. This is actually amazing. 20 minutes after quitting, your blood pressure and heart rate recover from the nicotine-induced spike. So you don't know how many times people sit out in the lobby before coming into the office and they smoke a cigarette. Or while they're waiting to come back for their appointment, they go outside and they smoke a cigarette. Well, they've just influenced their blood pressure. And what's the first thing my nurse is going to do when they come back? Is shake their blood pressure. And so you want to make sure that people who are smoking realize that the smoking makes their blood pressure go up. The first step in quitting smoking is to understand the risk associated with tobacco use, but you should think about these statistics because sometimes the things that you don't know that actually encourage you to smoke. So 2 weeks to 3 months of smoke-free living, your circulation and lung function begin to improve. So 2 weeks to 3 months of smoke-free living, your circulation and lung function begin to improve. That's not a long time, especially if you've been smoking for 20, 30 years, as seen in tobacco belt states where I live. 1 year after quitting, your risk for coronary artery disease is reduced by 50%. That's an amazing statistic for me. 1 year after you quit, no matter how long you smoked, you decrease your risk for heart disease, heart attack, by 50%. Absolutely amazing. And so if somebody doesn't want to quit for any other reason, it should be just for the mere fact that they're helping their heart. 12 hours of smoke-free living, the carbon monoxide in your blood returns to normal. So the carbon monoxide, of course, is what builds up in your system. 1 month to 9 months of smoke-free living, clear the deeper breathing gradually returns. And so that's that return of lung function. Most people will say, oh, I get sick now that I quit smoking more than I did while I was smoking. Well, their body is still trying to process being without the cigarettes. 1 month to 9 months of smoke-free living, clear, deeper circulation returns. And 5 years after quitting, your risk for stroke is similar to that of a non-smoker. Those are amazing statistics. So if you don't smoke, use those as ammunition for those who do smoke, because we have to make sure we let people understand why it's important that they quit smoking. So they should start a plan to quit. Excuse me. Much like anything, you have to plan to quit. You can't just wake up one day and say, oh, I think I'll quit smoking. That's probably not going to work out. So you need to set a date to quit within the next 7 days, and then you decide, do you think you'll be able to go cold turkey? Or do you think you need to gradually taper down, or do you need some assistance? Assistance would be a nicotine replacement, also some medication that's prescribed by your provider. So there are different ways that people can quit smoking. And so I teach and train people that it is one of the hardest habits to quit. They should realize if they want to utilize something for help. And it actually takes people about 3 times before they quit smoking, unless they have a catastrophic event that makes them stop smoking all at once. So it will take somebody up to 3 times. So when I have this conversation with my smokers, then I ask them, how many times have you quit? And they will say most times 1, 2. When people who have successfully quit, I ask them, how many times did it take you to quit smoking? Because on average, no one quits just once. They restart, stop and restart. And for some, it's just because they use smoking as a stress reliever. They use smoking as a pacifier, as a social activity. And so they have to replace those social activities and pacifiers with something else instead of smoking. And so, tips for success: deal with the urges. They need to get active. Handle stress, we just talked about that. Get support, and they actually have to stick with quitting. They have to make the decision that some of the numbers we talked about earlier is worth them quitting. And so smoking, again, don't take it lightly. It is something that is very hard for people to do, but it does take on average about 3 attempts before they're successful. And if they can successfully quit, then they can make sure that they are improving some of their health. And so that's step number 7 is smoking. And so,
can I have my piece when you're done?
Just a minute.
Okay.
So you can make sure that you help to encourage someone to quit smoking if that's not you. And so that's a way you can keep life simple, because by quitting smoking, you increase so many other things. You increase your, or you decrease your risk for heart attack. You increase your lung function. You increase your circulation. You decrease your risk for stroke, and you decrease your risk for, you decrease your blood pressure. So that's the piece of information to follow. So that's day number 7, smoking. Hopefully you all don't smoke, but if you do, these are just some things that you should know about smoking as it relates to your health. And you can pass this on, share this video with other smokers so that they will have opportunity to listen and know what smoking is actually doing to their body. They've heard it a million times, but sometimes it just takes that one time to actually click and just to determine that, yep, this is something that I want to do for my health. It's one of those life simple 7 steps, so they need to take the opportunity to keep it simple. Okay? So again, I hope that you all have enjoyed the challenge. We will have Q&A tonight at 9 o'clock. Stay tuned to the Facebook group. We will have continued discussions about Life Simple 7. We'll answer any questions in that group. If you're watching this on replay or later, you can ask questions in the comments below. You can email zinglifeservices@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, www.zinglifeservices.com, and put a comment there if you have any questions related to Life Simple 7. I've enjoyed this opportunity to share with you, to encourage you, to motivate you, and most of all, to educate you about the Life Simple 7, the things that you need to keep your life simple and to live longer. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.